escape the trouble that he is in. And so he was trying to cover for a friend, but then secondarily also was digging himself deeper in the hole. And I think we've all been subjected to this at times. We get into a scenario where it keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and we dig ourselves further and further and further. And eventually, what has to happen is the light of the truth has to come out. And that happened after a few hours of him telling the story and then his own anxiety taking over. And part of this, from a psychological perspective, is allowing the anxiety really to naturally manifest within the self as a means for guilt. This is a good thing, because what happens is, as people continue to reflect upon what is there, they continue to work the storyline in a manner that creates the means for self-reflection. That is a pivotal part to move them into the value base, where, in this sense, where he was digging and digging and digging deeper, the guilt became more latent, and then eventually it had to come out. His big fear was he going to be in trouble? And the swift answer to that was no. The act itself was troublesome. However, the actions taken within the guilt present were actually the exact lesson that needed to be taught. And as a parent, one of the biggest things I see, especially with youth, and having worked with both troubled youth in a psychological capacity as well as non-troubled youth, one of the key differences I see is a lack of accountability. Now, this is a very special construct that us parents that persuade to the mythic persuasion need to teach children in order to create a value base to let them have the foundation they are going to need to navigate through life. You could tell what values are present really in the essence of how your children act. Will a stranger come up to you and say, "Oh, these are well-mannered children," or "Oh, they try and shy away"? Values are also found in what games are played. As a psychological professional, I take a look really at the games that are played within the family to determine what value base is present. And remember, it's through the play that children undertake that the values are passed on. And so, really, what elements do you want to pass on to your children? Values are found in the games they play. They're found in the family dinners. They're found in the actions one takes. Do the family get together? Do they partake in games with each other? Do they eat together? Is it despondent? Are there any parents in the home? Is the state expected to raise the children? These are aspects of how you could begin to tell what values are present or lack of values are present in the home. And by knowing this, you could then begin to make small corrections to help foster the next generation to create a value-based structure for which to navigate through their lifetime. Now, back to the story of accountability, one of the main lessons that I thought as he was telling the story and the truth was coming to light was what's the value I want to teach here? Now, going back and looking at the fact that most individuals that have troublesome life show a clear incapacity to be accountable for their actions, I decided that that was the main kernel of the value of the lesson that I wanted to teach within this lesson. And so as we began to work it through, and he was asking if he was in trouble, there was no yelling, there was no grounding, there was no punishment of any sort, because he had already very well did that through the capacity of his own guilt. With that being said, there was one facet of something he had to do to create movement towards the lesson that needed to be learned, and that was accountability. And so in essence, I put the exercise back on him and asked him, what does he think that he needs to do. And it was from there that we came to a conclusion that we probably have to be accountable to the third party, the teacher to whom he had written a letter from which he had the guilt being present. Now, that caused an extreme amount of anxiety. Again, he has to go within and deal with the feelings that are present. But this is the area of where we don our psychological armor in the theme of Inside Out, the Disney movie. This is where the core memories get made. How can you be accountable yet have empathy showed upon you in that you learned a higher lesson versus just being punished for the small discretion at hand? In the end, it's these small seeds that become the core memories that we develop throughout our life. It's up to us as parents to teach these as our children move along, and it is up to us to help foster this not only on an individual level within our family, but also at a collective level, because a society is only as good as the families that form its foundation. If you have no family value or no foundational response, the house will crumble under the weight of the pressures present. And I think that's one lesson that we all see going on in this world that seems to be without myth, without values, without principles present. I look forward to any comments you may have and any stories you may have regarding similar altercations and with your children, and how you may have responded differently, and to see if there is room for growth in all areas in this interactive forum. Until next time, I want to thank you for listening as always, and I hope you advance confidently in the direction of your dreams. Thank you.